Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, and as usual, I am super excited. I've tried not to use that word a whole lot this year, but it still just comes out. This interview today with my guest is very special to me, and I'll tell you why in just a hot second. I do want to say a quick thank you to my sponsor partner, the Chamber of St. Matthews. I would be remiss if I didn't mention them simply because they're one of the reasons I want to support small business so much. This particular chamber is just very good at supporting each other. Our culture is what helps us set us apart in the chamber world, if you will. It's not your typical show up, meet people, do business together, and that's it. That is not what we're about. We're actually about bridging community and business. Like we're building that together. We're connecting business to community, but we're also building community within business. And it's one of the most beautiful things that I get to be a part of on my regular basis around here in the Louisville area. But we're also outside of Louisville, which makes us one of the biggest in the region. I'm very proud of that. And I have a small announcement. Officially January 23, I'm coming back on the board of the Chamber of St. Matthews. So I'll try to not keep talking about it quite so much, but I definitely want to give a shout out to the Chamber for being my partner in this so much over the years that I've made these changes and just really gotten it out there. If you're not part of your local chamber, I highly recommend it. Get involved. It's a great way to build your business and a support system so that you can grow your business. And with that, I really want to express my excitement for this guest today. I had no idea what I was going to be walking into because his team found this show and reached out. And I had never got to meet him before. It did not come through a referral. They found this show and they were like, boss man, you have got to be on this show. This is a perfect fit for us. And I couldn't agree more because Perry Allison was an absolute delight. I want to introduce you to him. I can't express it enough. He was a delight. He is a millennial. I asked the question. I try to be tactful about it because I get on the screen. I'm like, he's definitely a lot younger than I am. So I gently asked the question, and he is straight up a millennial. But the interesting thing is the brilliance of how he thinks and what that thinking has turned into action. I love what he's doing with his current businesses. He's the CEO of several service-based business and companies. He supports these entrepreneurs to achieve greater freedom and results. And what that turns into is like through the Power Op. So powerop.com is where you want to go to find out more about Perry. But the Power Op method is what he's been calling it. Is that something that he recognized in his own life? He's like, this can help other people. And so he helps these business owners implement this method, and it has three essential goals in mind. One, to make the business a more valuable and sellable asset. Two, to position the company to scale beyond current fixed limitations, like you, and to multiply the owner out of the day-to-day, providing greater freedom, joy, and purpose. Oh my gosh. I read this much from his bio, not even skimming the surface of how awesome this interview was. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to and welcome my guest, Perry Allison. Well, Perry, thank you so much for being a guest on Small Business Success Talk. I'm excited to get to know you, know your business. And again, I've already said in the green room how much I appreciate that picture in the background because, he's a homeboy for us. Absolutely. No excuses. Love it. So tell me and our audience just a little bit about you, your background, and your origin story. What got you here?
Yeah. Well, trying to kind of synopsize everything and stay very contextual for your audience. My upbringing was extremely humble. No real financial security from from my upbringing. My childhood was really scarce in terms of financial stability of any sort. I was homeless from 13 to 17 with my mother, moving from our broken car on certain occasions to motels that the state of California would help supply us with, to uncle's garages, and just kind of that experience was how I was raised. But looking back now, I realized that all throughout my childhood, I had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. I was the kid who sold baseball cards, candy, had the lemonade stands, anything that I could get my hands on, and then provide value and get value in return. It was weird. It just kind of was something that I was connected to. So when I turned 19, I was really kind of out of options. I attended junior college just out of the ceremony of it. I wanted to be a police officer, but financial demands were still very much nipping at my heels at 19. So I decided just to really go full into what I was. I was an employee, basically fixing exercise equipment at that time. So I decided, you know what, let me do this on my own. I think this is something I could put the pieces together on. I could fix exercise equipment on the side for gyms and little independent personal training studios. So I started that company when I was 19, and that was in
Okay, so wait a minute.
2009.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So becoming a police officer was more financial risky than becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, so I wanted to be a police officer, but what happened was I was attending classes one day, and my boss at the time said, "Hey, I've got a lot of jobs. They're going to be really profitable for you. Do you want to take them?" And at that moment, it was between going to my next class or taking those jobs that day. I said, "Show me the money. Let's do it."
Gotcha.
So I kind of, at that
Yeah.
moment, decided to take
Changed
the general
trajectory.
labor career kind of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
exactly.
So now you decided to do it on your
So
own.
I just, yeah, college wasn't paying me and I needed to make money. And, I felt pretty confident that I could provide value to the marketplace even at 19 years old. So I was contacted one day by a customer that I previously worked with. My time with that employer had come to an end. And I got contacted by an old customer. He asked me if I could fix this treadmill. And I said, I'm pretty sure I could. And I did the service. I received the compensation for that and realized that within an hour I had made an entire day's pay. And I wanted to see if I could multiply that. And so that was kind of the origin story of my initial and primary business, Premier Fitness Service. And over the course of time, we moved from providing service and repair to fitness equipment to ultimately designing, conceptualizing commercial fitness spaces for hotels and apartments, corporate fitness spaces, and really just handling the entire application of a fitness space for our clients, even to the marketing and the sales concepts of the spaces. So that has been a tremendous journey for me, and has taught me a lot of lessons that now I'm kind of using to help other entrepreneurs with.
Okay. And so for like you mentioned, context. So for those who are not watching this on video, if you're just listening, I am sitting in front of what I know to be a very much younger than me person. Would you classify yourself as a millennial, or are you of that even younger generation?
I am a millennial through
Okay.
and through. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's right. I'm 34 years old, just turned 34. So I am well into that category.
And you're already teaching other people lessons that you've learned in business. So now you have Power
Man,
Op.
I'll tell you,
Is that right?
Power Up. Yeah, exactly. So we launched that officially the beginning of this year. And really that's predicated on some pain points that I experienced in Premier Fitness Service. So specifically, there was two instances that were really pivotal to me to open my eyes and understand that, I'm not the only one experiencing these issues within the framework of running my business. In 2008, I hit what I call the operator breakpoint. Essentially, I had grown my business up to capacity, my personal capacity, and I found myself completely depleted physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I was absolutely maxed out. We were making really great money. I was making more money than I ever had before, and that was saying a lot for my upbringing. And so I didn't realize that I was just grinding away in that hamster wheel every single day, and I was worshiping the revenue that we continued to generate until I realized I got to a point that uh, it's not worth it. It's not fulfilling to me. I feel so depleted. I feel so isolated. I feel like I'm grinding every single day. Yes, we're making money, but what is this all for? At the same time, I was the only one. I felt like I was the only one who cared in my business. And really, it's because I kept everybody out of the primary operations and responsibilities of my business because I had to control that. I had to handle that because that is how the revenue continued to tick upward until suddenly great people started to leave my team. I was managing team member issues while also trying to hold it all together. So it was 2 in the morning. My normal work schedule was 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., 1 or 2 a.m. Uh, my office was in Orange County, California. For those who are familiar with the Southern California area, we lived an hour and a half away, my wife and my daughter, who was 2 years old at the time. So I stayed Monday through Friday at my office working that schedule. And I called my wife at 2 a.m. and I said, I'm feeling strongly that I'm going to lock the door and walk away. Like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it. I don't understand what this is all for. I feel like I've exchanged my soul to sustain this company. And I can't run this pace. Anxiety is going to take me out of this game of life. And I'm not sure that it's worth it. And so it was really that moment, um, just by sheer necessity of my circumstance, that I realized, man, I got to bring my people into this pain. Like, I've got to be vulnerable with them. I've got to be humble with them, with the good players on my team, the people that I feel like really had the capacity to care and wanted to grow. That was the moment where I got honest with them and I said, look, I can't run this pace. I believe in you. I see capability in you. Are you interested in picking up the slack and some of the stuff? And if you screw it up, if I relinquish control of these major responsibilities and you make mistakes, so be it. I mean, it's better than what I'm feeling right now. And that was really such a pivotal moment for me that, if I was going to grow to this next level, I would need to, I say leverage, and that feels so superficial to act like my people are assets, but to
It's
bring
the
in my
right
team.
word. It's the right word.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let me
And
just
so to,
pause for a second.
yeah.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Um, I almost feel like a big sister at the moment. So please don't take this wrong. I'm so proud
Yeah.
of you.
No.
Like, I'm excited about everything that you're telling me. And I know that it was shit to go through it. It felt horrible. But the fact that you are self-aware enough that you're like, hey, something has to change or I'm out. Like, but you already knew that there was enough value in what you were doing in the world that you made the change instead of just walking away. And so there's so many things about what you just said to me that I'm super excited. I was like, he doesn't need me for this interview. Like, he's going through all the questions I would have normally asked. So I don't really have to be here. However, everything that you're saying is spot on what a lot of business owners experience and go through when they're trying to do it all themselves. And you only have so much capacity. You're one
Yeah.
human being. You cannot scale by yourself. You cannot grow by
Mm.
yourself. And I love everything that you're saying. So I just wanted to be able to throw that in there at this stage because I know that you're getting ready to unlock some more things for us in your own story. And so before we got too far down the rabbit hole, I was like, I want to listen to everything else. I
Yeah.
need to say this right now. So what happened when you said, hey, I need your help? Are you in? What happened?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the acclamation there, the affirmation, and just the appreciation of that. I wish I could take credit for intellectually coming to that conclusion, but I really think it was just a matter of like I have to make a change because I can't. And my business at the time, though we were profitable, any business that relies on the owner to maintain the operations is not a sellable asset. So I really wasn't in a position to sell the business because I'd have to sell myself, and it makes it a risky investment for the person. And so that is just, it seemed like a natural conclusion for me. But it's that moment that I experienced that really inspires me now. We were talking in the green room about your inspiration for running this podcast, and how SMB, small businesses, are the backbone of America, and we want to add value and support these owners as much as possible. It's that it breaks my heart. And most people, you're not going to see an infomercial at 2 a.m. talking about help the poor business owners, help these
So
poor people with the fly landing on their face or anything like that. You're just not going to
and they're
see
just
that.
like tears streaming down, and of course the
Yeah,
sepia overtones, like it's just so sad.
yeah. With just $20, you can
We
help a
need the Nora
business owner
Jones
realize
music.
that we got to put this together, Christy. We're gonna run that. That's gonna be some great social media.
Great.
But it they are SMBs are the backbone of America. They
Hmm.
they employ they employ America. They produce the economy that either keeps us in a position of thriving or one of retracting. And this is so important to support these courageous people who started with great intention and now carry the weight of the world on their shoulder, to provide them with that content and the realization that it doesn't have to be all on you. It really, you need to level up. And that level up moment, the operator breakpoint I mentioned that I was in, I realized I was not a business owner. I was a business operator. I had created a job for myself, and my business actually owned me. And for any person who steps out and courageously starts something, for them ultimately to become captive to their own creation, is a slave, and that's unacceptable. And so, it's this leveling up from operator to owner, from working in your business to working on your business, that has inspired me so much to be able to help business owners.
Just
So,
keep bringing it, Perry.
uh,
Just keep talking. Just keep going.
let's go. Let's go. No, but like my people, you mentioned, like, how did they respond? Mike Martinez, he's still with me to this day. He started by sweeping up the warehouse, and I looked at him because he had character. He had this character where, he and I, similar upbringings. He was a family man, and I could see his intention was good, and he was working multiple jobs because my job wasn't enough to sustain him. And I just like looked at him. I said, "Hey, do you want to step up? You want to do something? Like, I've got the blank canvas for you if you're interested in making something of yourself and creating something with me." And he responded like he jumped at the opportunity, and he eventually became my director of operations. And to this day, he now manages our sales workforce. And so, uh, him and several other team members responded extremely well and just jumped at the opportunity. What I didn't realize is that with me opening the doors to these extremely sensitive and important processes and responsibilities, is that it actually demonstrated trust, and in and me welcoming them into things that are important to me and really important to the success of our company. And so that was so powerful in endearing them to me and me to them. Like, we became family at that moment where, we were connected through this mission of supporting each other and bringing up our standard of living, and, doing all that. But, we were now mission focused, looking in the same direction, rowing in the same direction. So it was, yeah, a very powerful moment.
I felt it coming on. So part of what you may not know about me is I wrote a book called Being Super, and it's based on the hero's journey. So like I'm hearing you put the call out, like ask, like here's your invitation to something greater than what you have experienced so far, and I am giving
Mm,
you this opportunity through this business. First of all, I need your help. Like any good hero cannot do it all by themselves. I need your help. Are you
yes.
willing to team up? And so this is now the stage. They said yes to the call, and y'all are on the quest together, heading out to the mission, fighting the bad guys, doing all this stuff. I was like, I know the stage in which this moment is, and I'm so excited. And part of me is like, yes, I was right. They stepped up. So congratulations for having having that team of people who are like, yeah, we're ready. We have been looking forward to this. Thank you. So I'm glad that this is all working out.
Yeah, no, I mean, to their credit, exclusively, like truly exclusively. Like I was just dumb luck led me to a point of pressure, and for me to turn to them and say, "Hey, do you think you can help?" And it's like, of course, they were just their character was through the roof. The soft skills that they maintained, they're just good people who wanted to do their best, and that was really eye opening for me. That while I may have been hiring for experience or hiring for a college degree, that really the best people, most capable, and most resilient people are those with character that I should be prepared to develop. Man does not live on bread alone. And one of the takeaways of that statement is that people don't work for a paycheck exclusively. Humans need meaning. They need purpose to pursue. And so it's when I made that purpose clear and I brought them into that vision, and day by day we continue to make that purpose more clear as to why our company is so valuable to humans, not to serving revenue or meeting our business purposes, but to other humans solving problems. So man, to their credit exclusively. And I since that day we have been continuing to hire in that way, and our churn rate of employees is startlingly like nil, like nothing. We haven't had to release people in a while, and truthfully, it's a little concerning. I'm like, are we being complacent, or do we truly just have rock stars on our team? And so far, the results are just showing that we have people who are engaged and connected to each other and feel such a sense of community and culture. And to me, that's such a that's that to me is the greatest reward I could have ever achieved, regardless of financial benefits. To be in the here and now, in a community with people, working around people that are of that quality is its gift, is the greatest gift for a business owner who has experienced the type of story that I've communicated. So not to
Well,
feel alone and isolated, is big.
it's a huge deal, and thank you for validating my own work in life, just in general, because
Yeah.
I work with people on like doing that with their own teams, and the reason I even brought up the whole you're a millennial, because as a Gen Xer, I'm hearing your story and I'm thinking back to the early 80s when my people ahead of me, so the boomers, would have just said, again, I'm going to drink more and push on through. Like that, there would
Mm,
not have been a stop. Let's reevaluate, what do we need?
right.
And I mean, you could see that even play out in movies like 9 to 5. Like there's a reason why they the girls did what they did in that storyline to the boss, because he just wasn't listening. It was just push on through.
Right.
And at some point you need to step back and say, what do we as human beings who want purpose and meaning, what do we need to do in a workplace? This is where we're spending literally a third of our life, in a workplace. What do
Right.
we do here? It sounds like you were doing all of the beautiful things for people to be able to come together, and there's going to be day-to-day stuff that sucks. We all have that, the
Right.
day-to-day pieces of our business, or the work, the actual stuff
That's
that we
right.
don't like to do. The suck. Who called it the suck? I think it was Brendan
That's
Burchard
right.
calls it the suck. um
I've called it much worse. It's
Same. But to have the place in which the atmosphere is set that you can thrive in, that I if I knew I can grow as an individual in my career, and I'm part of a community that also does that and it supports, like, it is just totally magic. So kudos to you, Perry, and your team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations for that. So
Thank you.
what other lessons learned have you experienced so far?
Gosh, I think we need to do a series of podcasts. I think that would be fun because, like, as you're talking about the disconnect between employees, the workforce, and business leaders or owners, like that's a whole other segment that we really need to shine some light on, because what we're seeing with the unlimited PTO and quietly quitting and 4-day work weeks and this work-life balance, which doesn't make sense even as a statement when you analyze it as a statement,
Yeah.
what it all is leading to is the fact that people are trying to justify why they should be allowed to disconnect from their career. Like your life does not stop when you walk into work. Therefore, work life balance makes no sense. It's all life. And so, this falls back on business owners, because the number one complaint I hear from business owners right now is, I got a people problem. I can't find good people. Truth is, you're not a good leader. And the reason we're seeing this in our society is because leadership has failed the workforce, has failed to bring them into the vision, has failed to ask, what are your goals? When I hire someone, I want to know what their goals are first. You need to tell me what you're trying to accomplish, because for me to think for a second that I can get this stranger interested in my goals and pushing my goals forward without me being first interested in their goals and aligning their goals as the desired destination for them, and then to be able to communicate to them how my business can be a vehicle to take them to that destination, is asinine. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's nearsighted. It's silly. So, I would love, yeah, we should
That
dive into
you
that,
even
but
said
that's just
that.
like,
Okay. So I'm holding my mouth as much as I possibly can at the moment, because literally this morning, seriously, this morning I wake up and I always have a conversation with God over coffee, and I'm just talking. And I'll sometimes, if I will shut up, I can actually like hear God speak back to me some
mm,
days, going, it's okay or it's not okay or stop, whatever. This morning I'm having a moment of a rant about this exact subject, and I said the
let's
exact
go.
same thing. I was like, you
Let's
don't have a
go.
people problem, you're the problem. It's a
There's a
leadership
problem.
issue,
That's
not
it.
them. Like there's plenty of them to choose from. Why are you not what you need to be right now? And I'm
Right.
like, maybe that's a little extra or aggressive. And I went, screw it, that's how I feel. And then you just said it for me, so
That's
thanks.
right. That's right. Well, look, if I look back at myself in 2018, I was taking in zero leadership content, zero business content. I was not trying to take in any more business content because I had plenty of business to serve me. I knew best. I knew what my business needed, and I was giving it to it, 14 hours a day. And so there was no stopping me. Nobody could tell me any different. So really what you're feeling right now, like, is it too aggressive? Business owners right now need to be grabbed by the collar, told to like sit down and shut up and open your eyes. Quit being a fool, because you're driving yourself to the grave, and you're making everybody around you miserable. So it's going to take that direct talk to really get their attention to change things. And if I would have heard all of what we're talking about here, what you've highlighted about stopping and taking a beat, in that moment, I would have felt like that's so soft and that's so wishy washy and pie in the sky. But you know what? Like, having done it, I realized that it takes actual courage. That's a serious risk to stop your momentum and say, I think something good can come out of this if I just stop myself for a second and invest into my people. That is a far greater risk. It takes a lot more courage to do something like that than to just keep on going in this hamster wheel. And it takes intelligence to be able to say, what I'm doing right now is not working. There's got to be something different. So taking that pause and focusing on people is the long game. I'm a big Simon Sinek guy. Like,
Mhm.
everything that comes out of his mouth, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And his perspective on the infinite game versus finite games is just, it's what it's all about. So, business was not made for revenue. Business was not, the purpose of business is not profit. The purpose of business is to build community and allow people to thrive. Customers who are served with solutions, the people that work and operate within the business to thrive financially and in a community with other people. To think of business, to think of profit as the purpose of business is to think of purchasing a car for the purpose of accumulating gas. Gas is required to fuel the car, but it's certainly not the purpose. You don't go around bragging about how much gas you have. You talk about how many different places you get to travel and how that vehicle has empowered your life to be better. Profit is an essential component, but it fuels the ultimate purpose and actual good things that come out of a business. Fulfillment, satisfaction, and joy need to be the new key targets for business owners in this new generation. Has to be.
Have you listened to any of Jim Rohn's material?
I haven't. No.
God rest his soul. He was a brilliant man. Um, and I think his content is pretty much timeless. And he had always talked about to bring, like, the whole point is to bring value to the marketplace. As a business, you're bringing value to the marketplace,
Right.
and for you to bring value, you have to be valuable. Like, you need to, like, what is your value? What value are you bringing to that? Like, you need to be more valuable to drive the value.
Yes.
And it's about who you're becoming, not just what you're doing, as part of this whole game of business and life in general. And highly recommend him. Are there any other, like, I say influencers like tongue in cheek, it's not TikTok influencers, but anybody else who has influenced you on this trajectory of your business journey?
Yeah. Really, in 2018, I connected with Grant Cardone. That was the first business info that I started to take in, and I think it was his charisma, it was his plain spoken,
He's got a
high
lot of
energy
it.
type of way, you know. And I probably connect with him the most in terms of enthusiasm and willingness to just uh, to be aggressive and agitating if need be. Like if someone's driving off a cliff, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get your attention, and that's kind of his mentality in a few different ways. So you know his aggressiveness really kind of like connected with me, and his sales strategies I really still to this day appreciate. But I think balanced out with Simon Sinek, which are two very contrasting personalities and
Yes.
ethos, you know, it's this ability to kind of take from extremes and you know and create this entire pie of what is going to make you the most well balanced and complete the picture of who you are trying to be and what your people need from you. And so yeah, he was pivotal. John Maxwell was the very first mentor I had, and that was when I was 17 years old. I got connected with his content. Love him to this day, and he can do no wrong in my eyes. So yeah, those are a few guys that I follow.
Um, there is an older book and I still have it. It's on my shelf. It's on my shelf over here somewhere. It's probably still in the box, maybe. But it's called Brass Tacks. I can't remember who wrote it. It was a business owner. And one of the things that I took out of that was that the absolute best mentors are trial and error. Like, if
Mm,
you don't try things, you don't know what works and what doesn't. And
that's
like,
right.
there's, guidelines, of course, but to be willing to try new things, you're going to discover what works and what doesn't. And
That's right.
that was like, that's what keeps me going, is just thinking about trying it, because I get stuck in my own head. Like, we all do. I don't care how impressive you appear as a business owner, high influencer, whatever. You still have insecurities in there somewhere.
That's right.
And I always have to go through the process of getting out of the way of my own second guessing. And I'm like, just do it. Just do it.
That's it.
Like your print says behind you, no excuses. Just do something to keep the momentum going. Even when you
That's
take
it.
a break. So you mentioned the break. I only learned to practice that this year. This year. And I can take, like, I there's a Sabbath for a reason. And I need a moment to breathe. I need to be able to
Hmm.
recharge. But I had to go through a process of figuring out what is it that actually recharges me. And so I now have this path of what causes me a lot of issues, like all the negative energy, what depletes me, but what gets me back to even and stable so that I can recharge. Because there's this moment of, like, just still peace, and then it recharging for me looks like I've got the energy to keep going in a day. For
Right.
what I've found is, it's like, I love your illustration about the car, but I also use an illustrate. I love music. So it's the orchestra, it's harmony. Like every piece of things has its time to shine. Usually the trumpets get the most attention, which is fine, but clarinets have their time too. So,
That's right.
and it also doesn't take much for that little triangle in the back to sound really loud. So,
That's
just
right.
these pieces of our life that comes together is all connected and creates harmony. Like you mentioned before, you're not walking in to work in a day, leaving your life behind. It all comes with you. And that includes the messages that we've been told through our entire life. Like, I am, again, super proud of you for coming from what experiences you've had growing up as a kid into adulthood to be oh, wait, this isn't working for me, business owner, to then become a business leader. Like, you had to make those changes over time. And a lot of that is whatever you're telling yourself in your head, you're able to move the negative things out of the way to just move forward and try something new. The
That's
nice
right.
mix of, like you said, Grant Cardone and Simon Sinek, two totally different personalities coming together, is helping mentor you in a very unique, special way. And I love to hear all of this stuff that's coming back. So, again,
That's
kudos to
right.
you.
Heck yeah. Let's go. I love what you mentioned there is like, hey, only this year I caught this extremely valuable practice for myself. And I get so excited when I see how off I am from the mark or how like big of problems I have, whether it's in the operations of my business or personally, like, wow, I have missed it and I've missed it for a long time. And there's this massive gap between where I am and where I want to be or need to be. But like what I try to do in that moment, hopefully this is helpful for you and your audience, is just like I think about, well, look how much I've accomplished so far. Like, look how much we have done up to this point with that deficit. And if I'm cognizant of this deficit, I know I have other deficits. So if I'm able to close the gap between this inefficiency and where I need to be, how much more success can we have? We have the ability to multiply success at that point. So if I saw that, hey, everything's perfect, I'm perfect, the systems are perfect, and we've achieved this much success, there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to improve. So you have capped out on your success. But if you're finding problems, then you can only anticipate greater success by solving those problems. So trying to shift the mentality there of getting excited when you find an issue, and then stop consulting yourself and your feelings and your emotions. Like the moment you start that conversation with yourself as to, is this a good idea, should I do it, like you've already lost the game. I tell my head to shut up when I know I need to do something, and I move as quickly to action as possible. And then over time, you just kind of get conditioned to your brain not even speaking up. That's a bad idea, I'm uncomfortable. It just knows, it's like, he's not going to listen to me anyways. Just do whatever you're going to do, baby. So, and that rises up the insecurity. So it's a process, and you're always going to have fear, and you're always going to have that negative self-talk, but it's about trying to create those tools uh, to do the right thing more often than not. So
All right. So, a couple more questions as we start to wrap up. What has been
yeah,
the best piece of advice you've ever received?
throw all of my earnings back into my business, and it was really that opened my eyes, I think, to the worship of the capital I created, to see that the money was not the purpose, but the money is the fuel, and to have it just sit there and not being used as I'm still trying to actively create something and run a business and not put that money into the business is crazy. Like you gotta fuel the horse that got you there. You gotta reinvest back into the system to, again, just to enhance your organization, your operation, whatever that may be. It's not necessarily a business, but it could be, a hobby of yours. If this is something that you're taking seriously, take your earnings here and put it back in to start multiplying and expanding your effectiveness and your impact in that space. So that was really big for me. And I think, being able to go all in my purpose, it was big.
So, and then what, as we wrap up,
Yeah.
What does success mean to you?
Yeah, success is all about fulfillment, satisfaction, and joy. I mentioned those three. If you don't have that, no matter what you're doing, it's just not worth it. So it doesn't, it's irrelevant to the money you're making. It's irrelevant to your status, the car you drive. I actually posted an article yesterday talking about how the new billionaire flex is health and fitness. You see Jeff Bezos now getting fit, and somehow this is a flex to indicate their level of success. And I think it's so funny because it's so foundational, and that flex is not a Lamborghini, but it's a flex that everybody has access to be able to be more health and healthy and active and vibrant. So, um, and having joy and being able to just sit and tap into gratitude immediately and saying, right here, right now, today, I'm a success. Like, I'm not where I ultimately want to be, but I'm not promised tomorrow. I could walk out of my office right now. It could all be over. And I have to give account for what I've done up to this point. And I've got to be able to say, like, I have used all the tools at my disposal. I have done everything that I could possibly do with the hand I was dealt. I was a success. And so, yeah, that I would say is what success is to me.
I have loved this conversation, Perry,
Yeah.
and I'm sure other people will too. And you kind of do this for other businesses too, right? Like if somebody wanted to come and talk to you and say, "Hey, I need your help with something," what does that look like and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I'm passionate about impacting people's lives because I know when we change the fundamentals of how a business owner thinks and operates a business, it trickles down into their people and their people into their families and their families their communities. So for me, the ability to impact people and change lives is the purpose. So every single piece of valuable perspective or tool that I have, I'm happy to give away totally free. There's inevitably going to be folks on a larger scale or just with the means to be able to hire me to help them actually implement. And that is what I'm here for. And I'm available to do that as well. So I don't think there's any shortage of any type of person, but uh, anybody who's interested in my support or our value can reach out to us at powerop.com, POWEROP.com. And we'll be happy to help them do a free consultation, understand their business, what their pain points are, and then to be able to essentially prescribe them with those fundamental changes that need to happen and can happen immediately.
That's fantastic. Perry, thank you again for your time today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Christy, and look forward to being back again, hopefully someday.
Okay. Again, great interview. Highly recommend go check Perry out on all of his channels. You can find the links in the show notes or go to smallbusinesssuccesstalk.biz and you can find it there. Um, just just so many great nuggets that have come out of this. I hope that you take away from this podcast show in general that everybody that you come in contact with, everybody that you meet in this world of business ownership, small business, there's something to learn here. And then you're going to find this common thread of, oh, we are not alone in the struggle. There's so many great things that we can do, especially when we come together. And sometimes we have to, you separate out, but then you're coming together to mastermind, to feed off of each other, to, not really commiserate. Commiserate, I don't really approve of doing that for very long. Like get things off your chest, but find the solutions to do better and bigger. And you can do that in building that community with each other, opening up to people so that you can scale, you can leverage their skills, their gifts, their energy into growing a business even more. Basically, get out of your own way. Yeah, get out of your own way. I have to do that a lot for myself. And it is one of my biggest struggles. It's just simply get out of my own way. but this conversation was great for me, and I just very much enjoyed our green room time just as much as the actual interview. So thank you, dear listener, for your time today in this episode of Small Business Success Talk. Join us again for the next episode. Stay tuned, keep subscribed, share it with your friends. Please help us grow the subscriber audience by telling more people about us. Please, 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 and thank you. Have a great one, and talk to you again on the next episode.